In this video tutorial, we are going to discuss some problems on rational numbers that involves multiplication, subtraction, and addition. The problem is using appropriate properties find. This is one expression, this is another expression, and this is a third one. In all these three expressions, you have to find their values using appropriate properties. Now, if you're thinking, what does using appropriate properties mean? It means you have to use three properties: commutative, associative, or distributive. So using these three properties, you have to solve this problem. Now, we have multiplication, then we have subtraction, then again we have subtraction, and then we have multiplication. So we know that multiplication always gets priority over addition and subtraction, right? So here multiplication and here multiplication. That's one thing. Now, if you look here, can we write this as 2 over 5 times minus 3 over 7. I'm putting this in one bracket because we are grouping multiplication together. Can I write this minus 1 over 14 as plus, and then within the bracket, minus 1 over 14, right? Because why? Outside the bracket is plus, inside the bracket is minus. If I open this bracket, then this becomes minus 1 over 14. We know this thing. Now, can I write this as exactly the same way I have done here, plus outside the bracket, and then minus 3 over 7 times 3 over 5, because I want to group the multiplication together, the numbers in the rational numbers being multiplied, to group them together. Now, if you are getting confused, how can I write this? Then let me explain you very quickly. Imagine that outside the bracket is plus, right? And inside the bracket is minus p over q, right? And then multiplied by, there is another rational number s over t. Imagine that this is our multiplication. So after multiplying, this would become minus p times s, right? Minus ps, p multiplied by s, and minus upon qt. Why minus ps? S is positive, p is negative, so surely we'll have a negative number. That's for sure, right? Because minus 3 times 4 means what? Minus 12. Same thing is here. So now if I open the bracket, what will this become? This will become minus, right? Minus ps qt, and I can write this as minus p over q times s over t, exactly the same what we have here, right? If I just open this bracket. So same thing I'm doing here. Now some of you can ask, can't we write it as 3 over 7 times minus 3 over 5? Yes, you can write, because even if, imagine that this minus was with minus s, even in that case, when you multiply p and minus s, because this is a multiplication of two rational numbers, you'll get minus ps only. And when you open the bracket, you'll get ps over qt, and then you can put minus sign here and you can write it like this, right? So doesn't matter whether you write p over q times minus s over t or minus p over q times s over t. Those are exactly the same thing. Now, you have to listen very carefully, because most of the students make mistake in this, right? Now, why did I choose minus 3 over 7 and not minus 3 over 5? That should be the question. Because I have to reach at this property, that is distributive property. And why? Distributive property says one thing, is what? A times A multiplied by B plus C if this three rational numbers a, b and c, a multiplied by b plus c is within bracket, then it is actually what? A times b plus a times c. If I reverse this thing, that is, if I have a times b plus a times c, I'll get back to this a times b plus c. Imagine that this is a forward way, this is a backward way. But this belongs to distributive property only, forward way and backward way. So if we look here, we have minus 3 over 7 here and we have minus 3 over 7 here. And this is very important thing whenever you are dealing with problems where you have to solve using properties. We have to keep them alive. Okay, imagine that if you put this minus sign with minus 3 over 5, this will be 10. Okay, so now focus on this one. If I put this as a, why a? A is any rational number, because when you solve this, you'll get a rational number. If I put this as b, and if I put this as c, okay, now what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to group them together. I'm going to put these in within a square bracket. Now this is b plus c, right? B plus c is actually what? We can write it as c plus b. We can write b plus c as c plus b. And how? Commutative property that says that. So using commutative property, I'm not writing here, but you have to listen very properly. Using commutative property, now I'm going to write a step. This remains as 2 over 5 times minus 3 over 7, right? So using commutative property, I'm going to write this as minus 3 over 7 times 3 over 5 plus minus 1 over 14. I have written this b plus c as c plus b, right? Very nice. Now look at this one and this one. Here we have minus 3 over 7 and here we have minus 3 over 7, right? We can write this one as minus 3 over 7 times 2 over 5. How? Using commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. Here it is a times b. Imagine that this is a times b. So a times b can be written as b times a according to commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. So don't get confused that I'm using a, b and c here. Again, I'm using a and b for this one. This is just to denote them, just to make them clear that we are actually talking about rational numbers. Here I can say that this is p times q. Let's say that this, if you are getting confused, let me denote this with p times q. P times q means what? Q times p, according to commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. So I write this as minus 3 over 7 times 2 over 5. Now if you're wondering why are we doing this, this will be clear. Because I want to reach your distributive property. Plus minus 3 over 7 times 3 over 5 plus minus 1 over 14. Okay, now look here. Can I write this as minus 3 over 7 times 2 over 5 plus 3 over 5? And how? Using distributive property, and this is actually the backward path of distributive property. Here we have minus 3 over 7 here. This is minus 3 over 7. So you can think of this as a times b plus a times c, right? A times b times a plus a times c. If you go backward path, you will get what? A times b plus c. Or in a layman term, we say that, hey, minus 3 over 7 is common. Let's take out the common with the multiplication sign. Take out the common with multiplication sign, you'll be left with b plus c. We say it in a layman term. Okay. So if you take minus 3 over 7 common, and you will reach to the backward path of distributive property. Now we have this one, and then plus minus 1 over 14. Minus 1 over 14. Now, if you look here, we have, I'm going to solve here. So we have minus 307 times, this is 205 plus 305. So this is 5 is the denominator that is common, and this is 2 plus 3, right? And plus minus 1 over 14. From this one you get minus 3 over 7 times 5 over 5 plus minus 1 over 14. This 5 over 5 becomes what? It becomes 1. 5 divided by 5 means 1. So this gives you minus 3 over 7 plus minus 1 over 14. Now we are left with two rational numbers and we have to add them together. If I open this bracket, this becomes minus 3 over 7 minus, why? Outside the bracket is plus, inside the bracket is minus, so this becomes minus 1 over 14, right? So this is minus 3 over 7 minus 1 over 14. We have to subtract, we have now two rational numbers. This is one rational number, this is another rational number. We have to subtract it. So LCM of 7 and 14, and why? Because the denominators are not the same. So if you find LCM of 7 and 14, you get 14 as the LCM. You get 14 as the LCM. Now here if you want 14 as the denominator, so 14 divided by 7 gives you 2 as a quotient. So minus 3 times 2 minus, here we already have 14, so write 14 here, and this is 1. Now I can write this one as minus 6 over 14 minus 1 over 14. Denominator is the same, so you write 14 here. This is minus 6 minus 1, you get minus 7 over 14, right? Minus 7 over 14. If you want to simplify it further, we can simplify. Just put this minus sign here as it is, right? Now, highest common factor of 7 and 14, you will say 7. Divide 7 by 7, you get 1. Divide 14 by 7, you get 2. Minus 1 over 2, you can write this one as minus 1 over 2, or simply minus in the middle. Both are actually equal, because we have learned that minus p over q is actually equal to p over minus q is actually equal to minus in the middle and p over q. These are the same representation. So you get minus 1 over 2 as the result for this one. Here, if you look at this expression, you can see that we have 3 over 5 here, we have 3 over 5 here, right? Now, let me solve this. So let's group this together, multiplication, and then we have this multiplication here. Okay, you can write it like this. Now I want to again reach to a point where I can apply distributive property, because I can clearly see that we have 3 over 5 here and we have 3 over 5 here. But here is one problem, just as we had here. Can we write this one as 3 over 5 times 1 over 6 minus 5 over 2? No, because this is of the form a minus b. Imagine that this is a and this is b. Imagine. So a minus b cannot be equal to b minus a, right? This is not allowed, because subtraction doesn't follow commutative property. So what should we do? Same thing what we have done in the first expression, that you write this as minus 2 over 3 times 3 over 5, right? And then this is plus 5 over 2 then put plus here and take minus within the bracket, and within the bracket I'm writing 305 times minus 1 over 6. Now if you're thinking why I have put minus with 1 and not with 3, because if you look in this expression, this 305 is actually positive and I need this this 305 as positive, so I don't want to put minus sign with with 3, right? So now this becomes, imagine that this is now A, this is B, just imagine, and this is C. Now can I write B? This is what B plus C. Can B plus C be written as C plus B? Using commutative property of addition of rational numbers. You have to mention this thing. I'm not writing here because it will take space and time both. So just remember commutative property of addition of rational numbers. So this becomes minus 2 over 3 times 3 over 5 and plus 3 over 5 times minus 1 over 6 plus 5 over 2, right? Now can I write this like here, this minus is in the middle, right? And as I have told you here that we can write this, if this is a minus in the middle, this can go with either with the numerator or with the denominator, same thing. So I'm writing this, replacing this minus from the middle line to this one with the numerator. Now I want to use distributive property. This is 3 over 5 times minus 1 over 6 and this is minus 2 over 3 times 3 over 5. I'm going to apply commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. So that says that, assume that this is A and this is B. So A times B is equal to B times A. That is what I'm going to apply. So by using commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers, I can write it as 3 over 5 times minus 2 over 3, right? Now plus 3 over 5 times minus 1 over 6 plus 5 over 2. Okay. Now 3 over 5 is here and 3 over 5 is here. In the layman term, you will say that 3 over 5 is common. Just take this out. Is common and take this out. You will get this backward path of distributive property. So this gives you 3 over 5 times multiplied by minus 2 over 3 plus minus 1 over 6, right? Because this is, if you open this and apply distributive property, what you will get? 3 over 5 times minus 2 over 3 plus 3 over 5 times minus 1 over 6, that's the same thing. So applying distributive property of multiplication or addition of rational numbers, right? You have to remember all those things. If you're not aware of these properties, then you cannot understand this. So I'll do one thing. I'll post all the video links in the description box below of all the properties so that you can watch those tutorials and can understand this, right? So this becomes now plus 5 over 2. So if you solve this one, you have to take what? You have to take LCM of 3 and 6, and the LCM of 3 and 6 is what? The LCM of 3 and 6 is 6. So if you want the denominator as 6, because we have to add, so divide 6 by 3, we get 2 as a quotient, so this becomes minus 2 times 2 plus, this is already 6 here, so write minus 1 here, and this plus 5 over 2. This is 3 over 5 times minus 4 over 6 plus minus 1 over 6, right? plus 5 over 2. Now this is 3 over 5. Here 6 is the same in both the denominators. So this becomes 6. This is minus 4 plus minus 1 plus 5 over 2. Now this becomes 3 over 5 times minus 4 plus minus 1 means minus 5 over 6 plus 5 over 2. Right, this means 5 over 2. Now if you solve this, you get minus 3 times minus 5, because this is multiplication actually. So 3 times minus 5 is minus 15. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 5 over 2. Addition of two rational numbers, denominators are different. Therefore take LCM of 30 and 2. The LCM of 30 and 2 will be 30. So if you solve this, we already have 30 in this one, so write 30 simple here, and minus 15 plus, we need 30 here, divide 30 by 2, we get 15 as the quotient, so this becomes 15 times 5. 15 times 5. Okay, now this is minus 15 over 30 plus 75 over 30. If you solve this, you get minus 15 plus 75, you get 60 over 30, and if you solve it, the highest common factor of 60 and 30 is what? 30. So if you divide 60 by 30, you get 20. Sorry, you get 2, not 20, you get 2. So 2 is the answer. 2 is the answer of this expression. In the C part, we have 2 over 5 multiplied by minus 3 over 7 minus 1 over 6 multiplied by 3 over 2 plus 1 over 14 multiplied by 2 over 5. This expression can be written as 2 over 5 times, this minus is in the middle, therefore we can write this as minus 3 over 7 only, the same thing, plus minus 1 over 6 times 3 over 2, right? We can write this as this one, because if you open the bracket, this is plus, this is minus, this becomes minus, and plus 1 over 14 times 2 over 5. Now think this is A, this is B, and this is C. This is actually what B plus C. Applying commutative property of addition of rational numbers, this becomes C plus B. This is actually equal. Therefore, if I apply this commutative property of addition of rational numbers, this becomes 2 over 5 times minus 3 over 7 plus 1 over 14 times 2 over 5 plus minus 1 over 6 times 3 over 2. Now look at this one. I'm going to apply commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. That means if that is A times B, think that this is A, this is B. So A times B is actually what? B times A. That is commutative property of multiplication of rational numbers. So if we apply that, this becomes 2 over 5 times minus 3 over 7, and then this is plus 2 over 5 times 1 over 14 plus minus 1 over 6 times 3 over 2, right? Now this is what? 2 over 5. This is what? 205. So if you focus on this part, here we can apply distributive property of multiplication or addition of rational numbers, this one. So, or in a layman term, we say that 205 is common in both these two expressions. So take out 205 common times minus 3/7 plus 1/14. But actually it is distributive property of multiplication or addition of rational numbers. Then plus minus 1/6 times 3/2. This becomes 205 times, this is addition of two rational numbers, denominators are different, therefore we will find LCM of 7 and 14. The LCM of 7 and 14 comes as 14. So if we want its denominator to be 14, we write 14 here. 14 divided by 7 gives us what? 2 as the quotient. So this becomes minus 3 times 2 plus, it's already 14 here, so write 14 and write 1 plus minus 1/6 times 3/2. Now this becomes 205 times minus 6/14 plus 1/14 plus minus 1/6 times 3/2. Right? This becomes 205. Now addition of two rational numbers, but the denominators are the same, therefore 205, 14 in the denominator, then minus 6 plus 1, right? And then plus, this is minus 1/6, we can put this in the bracket, times 3/2. This becomes 205 times minus 6 plus 1 is minus 5/14, and this is minus 1/6 times 3/2. Now I can write this as 2 times minus 5 and 5 times 14 plus minus 1 times 3, 6 times 2. So this gives you, now I'm going to apply here, or let's say you simply multiply, this becomes minus 10/70 plus minus 3/6, right? So from this one we get, this should be not 6, this should be 12. So this is minus 10/70. Now ignore the minus sign, we can simplify this, right? So simply we can cancel this 0, or to better explain it, 10 and 70, highest common factor will be 10. You divide both the numerator and the denominator with 10, you get 1/7, right? And this 1/7, now put this minus sign here, then plus, this is minus 3/12, minus 3/12. If I open this bracket, this becomes minus 1/7. If I open this bracket, this becomes minus, plus outside, minus inside, so this becomes 3/12. Now, if you try to find out the LCM of 7 and 12, you get LCM of 7 and 12. you get 2, 6, 2, 3, 2 to 4, 3, 12, and 7. You get 84. LCM of 7 and 12 is 84. So if we want 84 here in the denominator, so write 84. If you divide 84 with 7, you get 12. So minus 1 times 12 is what? Minus 12. Minus, if you want 84 here in the denominator, write 84. 84 divided by 12 gives you 7. 7 times 3 is 21. So this becomes 84. This is minus 12. And this is minus 21. This becomes minus 33 over 84. Now, can we simplify it? Yes, we can simplify it. The highest common factor will be 3. Ignore minus sign for a moment. Divide the numerator with 3, you get 11. Divide the denominator with 3, you get 3 to 6, 3, 8. And then put this minus sign here. Minus 1 over 28 is the answer.